Thank you, Bethany, for your introduction, and hello, everyone. Yes, I'm Oxana Bondarchuk. This is a Russian name. I'm originally from Moscow, Russia, but for the last 10 years, I've been living in Australia in a beautiful place called Byron Bay. And you can call this place a spiritual capital for Australia because I was drawn to this place because it's really very, very unusual. Every third person that you meet will say that he's either shaman or healer or psychic reader. And if you are interested in meditation and spirituality, you can be talking about it to bus driver or taxi driver, and it will be normal and common, and you will be normally understood. So here we are. And today I'm going to tell you about brainwaves, as you can see them with the mind mirror, and brainwave patterns. What patterns we develop over time if we meditate, or if we do all kinds of ecstatic experiences, when we go to non-ordinary states, when we have our aha experiences. So I have a little presentation that I would like to share with you, so it's easier for you to understand and remember what we look at and how we interpret this. Here on the screen now you can see the brain waves as we see them with the mind mirror when you're hooked up, and we hook up about like 5 electrodes to your skull to read the electrical brain activity. So we don't send anything in, we just pick the electrical impulses from your neurons communicating. And the main thing about brainwaves is that, yes, we all do have them. And yes, when we do certain things, we involve this or that frequencies, which means the speed of the wave or the rhythm of the brain wave is different. So let's have a closer look at it. We differentiate different frequencies, as I said, or speed. When you think of brain waves in terms of hertz, the best way to understand what it means is to compare brain waves to musical notes. So like we have do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si. So there are high notes and lower notes. And same with the brainwave categories when we talk about frequency. So frequency is depicted on a vertical scale, and the fastest brainwaves, gamma, 30 to 100 hertz, are here. Then we have beta, slightly slower, in yellow and orange. Then we have green alpha in the middle. It's 8 to 14 hertz. Then we have theta, a little bit slower, in blue, and then we have delta, the slowest of all brainwaves, in the bottom. So besides frequency, besides the speed with which neurons communicate, we also differentiate the amplitude, and it's shown here on horizontal scale. And the amplitude can be compared to volume. So which brainwave category in the moment is the loudest. So that will define your state. Which brainwave is dominant or playing the solo in this whole brainwave orchestra. That's what matters. 40 years of research done by Max Kate and Anna Weiss on people who are very self-aware of their states of consciousness allowed them to categorize or associate different brainwave frequencies and categories with the levels of mind. So we associate beta with our conscious mind. So these are the things we're aware of. Then we have alpha, which is kind of a bridge. Or if we look at this picture, as you can see, we have iceberg. Beta shows only the top of the iceberg, this conscious mind that we all know and we're aware of. And alpha will be the water level, separating subconscious mind, your theta, and unconscious mind, delta, from what is known and what is visible. But that still, you see, it's a very, very big part of you that I'm sure you would also like to have access to. So let's talk about it in more detail. So beta, very fast brainwaves representing conscious mind of active external awareness. So beta is associated with verbal intellect, linear, logical thinking. When you're doing list making or decision making, these activities will speed up your beta. And high frequency, high amplitude beta, very loud dominant beta, like you can see on this pattern to the left, you can see we call it splayed beta, would represent stress, anxiety, and panic. So beta is not always bad. Beta is good, but you know, every category, every actor, every musician in this orchestra of brainwaves has its role. Beta has its role too. We do need beta to conceptualize and articulate the content of our deeper innermost self. So we need beta to be calm. We need beta to be non-attached. Need beta to be non-critical. So the best way for you to remember what beta brainwaves are about is through a few associations. I picked some pictures here. On the left is the picture of how beta usually is in our normal state. And here is the pattern representing normal state. So beta is busy. There is lots of chaotic activities, and it's really hard to, put things together, streamline them, and be efficient. So yes, beta means focus, but beta needs to be organized to do its work properly. Or, like comparing it with waters in the ocean, it should be still and quiet. So you can see the reflection from what's above, and you can also see what's below because the water is still and transparent. That's what we want. We want beta as this quiet observer, as a still surface that is transparent. In other words, we can also compare busy beta, everyday beta of conscious mind with monkeys. This is monkey chatter in your head that is hard to stop, but you can calm it down and you can turn beta into, as I said, non-attached observer that is simply there to interpret and put in words the messages that you receive from your deeper or higher self, from your soul, because this is the way we operate in this world. If we want to memorize something, remember something, and then share it or pass it, communicate it to others, we do need words to do that. And we can't do that without beta. So the next brainwave category, which is slightly slower, and you can see it from the wave depicted on this picture, it's 14 to 8 hertz, it's alpha. So we call alpha the gateway to subconscious. If you remember that beautiful slide with iceberg, alpha was the waterline that was separating our conscious mind from subconscious. So when we talk about alpha, we talk about passage, we talk about bridge to our deeper self. Start talking about non-ordinary or altered states as soon as alpha becomes dominant. And here on the pattern to the left, you can see that beta is well organized on top. And yes, we truly see that alpha is the loudest play in the orchestra. It shows the largest amplitude in this pattern. So that means the bridge is open, and it means that the information can flow from conscious mind to subconscious mind. And alpha is also associated with relaxed sensory awareness, activated and felt as the mind shifts from external to internal world. So when you close your eyes, it's very likely you will open your alpha. Daydreaming, reverie, visualization, imagination, our 5 senses are associated with alpha. And you do open alpha and you do drift deeper when you're falling asleep. When you start getting these images, associations, memories from the day, and they start changing each other. Maybe you have sensations in your body. Maybe you're just drifting and start disappearing. That means you are drifting deeper. But this state of relaxation and detached awareness is associated with alpha being dominant. So again, the best way to remember alpha is to use our associations. And on the left, you can see how alpha normally looks in our ordinary state. Here is a pattern of ordinary state. You can see alpha as a bottleneck. Alpha is narrow. The bridge, the gateway is not open. It's tightly shut. So when you shut, you see just no opportunities. The doors are closed. There is a big wall and you don't know what's behind. But here to the right, you see the doors open, like in awakened mind. You see the doors are open. Alpha is open already. And you can see the whole world behind it. So it opens the passage to another world that you can go through and explore. Or another good association for alpha is thinking of alpha being tight and closed as a cage or as a bird in the cage. We all are kind of stuck in our mind box, in our thought box, thought cage, and we do need to get out of our mind to get deeper wisdom, higher wisdom, to get access to our creativity, to our own healing abilities. We do need to slow down and go deeper. We do need to free ourselves from thoughts. So as you open your alpha, you go and start exploring this new world, or you get out of the bird's cage and you're like this free bird flying over the fields and valleys and oceans, and you change also your perspective. So you see the whole picture of your life from a higher perspective, bigger perspective. So the next brainwave category, which is even slower than alpha, it's 8 to 4 hertz. It's called theta. And you can see the wave is slower, right, on this picture. So theta represents our subconscious mind. It's our long-term memory. It's also the brainwave category, which is dominant during REM sleep, which means when we are seeing dreams, during rapid eye movement sleep. It's also the brainwave of emotional healing, intuition and creativity, and spiritual insight. So we also say that theta is kind of your library, your repository of essential being, your core self, psyche, soul, and all your stuff, all your good stuff is stored there, all your bad stuff and suppressed emotions and blocks in your subconscious, they sit in theta. So whenever you want to access your creativity, healing, wisdom, higher perspective, intuition, you can't get there without theta. All these happens through theta. And to remember what it is like, I brought a couple of pictures. On the left, you can see how normally we treat our beta. So yes, we go there and dive there during our sleep, during our dreams. And you see it's very tight. Theta is another bottleneck in the ordinary mind pattern. But in evolved mind, in a deeper state, theta really starts playing one of the leading roles together with alpha. It's leveling out with alpha. And when we do get deeper into our subconscious, we start clearing up all this stuff and we are looking for treasures, because these are our treasures, the treasures of our soul. So we want to find this gold, these chests with gold. We want to clean up all skeletons, and we want to check and have access to our gold. And then here is another association. Very often when we do the meditations that take you deeper into theta, and it's basically for the first time you go into the cellar of your mind, you find that it's kind of a dirty room, cluttered room with lots of junk there, disorganized. So ideally, what you want to have in your theta is a beautifully organized library where everything that you have experienced and whatever was registered by your mind, by your subconscious mind and conscious mind, your memories, everything is stored there on its shelf, and you can find it and have a nice time there exploring your subconscious world. So the next brain waves that are even slower, they are from 4 to 0.5 hertz, and you can see how slower this wave is. They're called delta, and they represent our unconscious mind, or they are also doors to universal consciousness. So when these brain waves are dominant, you would be in a deep, restorative, dreamless sleep. So it means that non-experienced meditator, when drifting that deep to the level where delta becomes dominant, he would simply fall asleep. And among my clients, I had such cases when people said, oh, thank you, I had a great sleep, great time, but no memories and no internal work done. Remember, long-term meditators, advanced meditators, they're very well aware of how it feels like when delta is dominant, and they use it a lot. Like channelers, mediums, healers, psychic readers, delta would be their major muscle or instrument through which they connect with the field, connect, I call it Google Cosmic Internet, to find and download information or energy or whatever they need for their work in this realm. So delta is also associated with empathy. So through empathy, we do connect with other people, and hypervigilance as an extreme side of it. Or the instinct. Animals also operate on delta. So through delta, through being connected to the field, they kind of know what to do because nobody teaches them things. They just mimic their parents as they are born, and then they just get it from the field of when, what, and how they're supposed to do. So delta is kind of instinctual radar that scans the environment and physically picks up information and energy. The best association for delta that I could come up with is this picture on the left. That's what delta represents in our ordinary state. We all do have somewhat delta. It's very common to all of us. We all do have basic survival instincts. So here, delta will be the one responsible for your fly or fight response. So you can either limit it to your instincts and hypervigilance, or you can turn delta, like psychic healers, readers, mediums, into your tool and use delta to connect with the field, to connect with cosmos, to truly open up your channel and become a receiver and transmitter of this cosmic energy. That's what delta can be about. The fastest of brainwaves, and yes, on purpose I'm talking about them last. You can see how fast they are. You can see the wave here, super fast. They are 30 to 64, or even right now we can measure gamma up to 100 hertz with the mind mirror. For a long time, during the times of Anna Weiss and Max Cade, the pioneers of this work, gamma was not measured. But these days, luckily, we do have equipment sensitive enough to pick this kind of very high speed brain waves and explore them more. It's especially interesting because gamma is associated with cosmic consciousness, or again, as the pioneers of this work would say, gamma was associated with the spiritual crisis or Kundalini awakening. So it was energy rising. And these days, the research on gamma show that gamma is a sign of a higher brain function. It's like, I'll show you the association that I came up with for gamma. Like in old times, we have these bulky computers, and if you ever seen the pictures of the first computers, they would take the whole room. But I mean, again, they are great. They could do things that we couldn't dream of. These days, the computer processors or CPUs, they are so small. It's like a very, very small chip with the highest possible processing power. So this is gamma. Gamma accelerates your brain. Gamma synchronizes your brain. Gamma realigns all the frequencies slower. So literally all the frequencies that I mentioned before, all other brainwave categories, will be reformatted by gamma. Just think of it like you need to optimize space on your computer to make it work more efficiently and faster. That's what gamma will do for you. So as I mentioned before, gamma awakens very often with spiritual crisis, with kundalini, and gamma could be a sign of mystical experience, heightened sensory perception, profound intuitive and healing abilities. So lots of psychic healers, readers may show gamma. But remember, though gamma is related to higher states and its spiritual experiences, it is not the prerequisite. You can still have access to higher states and speak to the angels and do the healing without gamma. Gamma is also associated with neuroplasticity, new neural pathways being built in your brain, and neurons, nerve cells reparation, which was considered impossible for many years, but it is happening. So in a way, we associate gamma with the new human, which takes our perception to the next level, which makes our consciousness really spiritual. So gamma is a sign of spiritual consciousness. Gamma always sits on top of the patterns that we see, and it's in pink and red above beta. And now let's speak in more detail about the brain waves in terms of patterns, how they work together and how they change when we change our states of consciousness. So in the ordinary state, most of us will show something like this, what we call ordinary pattern, and it's shaped like a vase. So you can see the dominant brainwave category in this case will be beta. It's yellow and orange. And alpha is locked, theta is locked, and yeah, there is somewhat delta there, but really it's just we are stuck in our mind cage, in our conscious mind. So ordinary pattern is associated with our thoughts, monkey mind, inner critic, and this nasty voice that constantly judge everything, judge yourself, saying you're not good enough, not this, not that, not now, or whatever. And in extreme cases, it may be associated with anxiety and panic when there are lots of shooting in beta. So your brain in this state is very disorganized and can't perform in its best way, in its optimal way. So the way out of conscious mind is through alpha, and that's what you can see here. So we see that beta becomes more organized, and again, if we look at the whole pattern as one pool of energy, as one blanket, we'll notice that very often brainwaves, they steal amplitude from each other. So we need to calm down beta to be able to go deeper and open up alpha. So we need to calm down. We need to stop these stormy waves, make them quite transparent so we can calm down and look deeper. So when we open alpha and we see pattern like this, much more theta than an ordinary pattern, we see that bottlenecks are still there, but the flow becomes possible between conscious mind of beta and subconscious mind of theta when the alpha bridge is open. So we call this state awakened mind, and it's in the shape of a man, like a head, hands and legs, or a flying bird. Or you can also call this pattern of flow, because the information can now flow freely to deeper levels or higher levels of yourself. This is also the pattern of high performance, sensory awareness, patterns of aha, and creativity. So without this flow, all of this wouldn't be possible. So if you go even deeper, you see what will happen. You see that theta will be opening even more and leveling up with alpha. So when all the bands open up like this, in a pattern that looks like a circle, and we know circle is the most balanced, optimal shape, we call this evolved mind pattern, or you can also call it oneness, or inner unity, or I call it also ultimate presence pattern, because that's where you can easily navigate wherever you want. There are no longer bottlenecks. You can go into any part of your mind, any level of your mind, and there are no restrictions there. You have full, like if you're a channeler, you can say your channel is totally open when it's looking like this. There are no blocks in your channel, no bottlenecks. You're totally connected with your creative source. You manage to overcome the limited cage of your mind, conscious mind, of your thoughts, and you overcome the duality. You are balanced, you are sitting in peace and silence, and it's a very healing state, and it's a very insightful state. Because at this state, when theta and alpha merge, they become equal, or sometimes theta becomes even larger than alpha. You can even see how we pass the messages from subconscious to our conscious mind. So in psychoanalysis and in all healing modalities, most likely you will find that the magic, the healing happens when whatever was not known, whatever was unconscious becomes conscious. That's when the healing takes place. And if you talk about inner work, if you talk about true intuition, all of these will be coming from theta. There will be theta, alpha communicating. There will be activities going on there. So this is the next pattern of peace. Just to give you a clearer difference between evolved mind pattern and awakened mind. So during one of our nice webinars that we do each month, I came up with an idea that for me, awakened mind pattern is more active and pragmatic pattern. So you can say that this pattern represents your mind at its best on its earthly realm, mind that can access its deeper higher levels and bring all the wisdom and creativity and spirituality into everyday life. But evolved mind pattern, you see, it's really balanced and stable, and it's more of a peaceful passive pattern. It's more a pattern represented your eternal self. You know, from this perspective, when you are out of time, when you are eternal, there is no need to hurry, there is no need to worry, and there is no need really to push or achieve much. So this is the evolved mind pattern. And if you go further and even deeper, you will see that sometimes delta, which is the very slowest brainwave category, which represents our connection to the field, will become dominant. So delta will be the loudest or the largest out of all the brainwaves, and making the whole pattern look like a skirt. So this is typical for channelers and healers when they do their work and when they connect with the field to collect energy or information that they need to pass it on. Ordinary person, non-trained person, would be in deep, deep, deep sleep in this state. And basically, when we get up to this point, it probably will become clearer to you why we called our main pattern of flow awakened mind, because we're talking about being awakened and having access to those levels of your mind or those brainwave frequencies that you normally wouldn't have access in normal awakened state when you are walking in everyday life. But with meditation and practice, you do get there, you do have this ability, and you do carry this wisdom, higher wisdom, with you into everyday life. And this is another interesting, I should say, quite rare and extraordinary pattern that we call out of body. And you see what happens, all brainwave categories, they shut down. I made a joke once saying that it looks like someone just left home. You know, the person is still alive, not asleep, and you can see it from observations from the body language, but there is no brain activity. So this is one of the mysteries or magic of our brain and consciousness, because there are lots of arguments, and still, where is the location of consciousness? Is it truly our brain, or is our brain just a register, a machine that helps us to adjust and operate in this material reality? So I tend to think it's more like a filter that registers what's going on in your energy field, what's going on in your consciousness, which is part of this energy field, and helps to organize your activity in this realm. So out of body pattern looks like two parallel lines with no activity in, nobody home. And when the person is back home, the normal brain activity comes back. And I want to mention a couple of more patterns. The only difference here from what we call awakened mind and evolved mind, this flying bird or man pattern and circular pattern, is that we do have gamma on top. So as I mentioned before, gamma is a sign of cosmic consciousness. So gamma above awakened mind will represent what we call superconscious pattern, and gamma above circular evolved mind pattern will represent universal consciousness patterns. So they both are associated with high attentional focus and intelligence, high brain processing power, with compassion, spirituality, and neuroplasticity. So once again, if you'd like to review what happens with us when we meditate, and we do meditation properly, and we do go deep, that will give you some idea, this schematic here. So in a red frame, there will be three most common to us patterns: 1, 2, 3. 1, this is our ordinary pattern, shaped like a vase with lots of bottlenecks. Alpha theta are very restricted. We hardly have any access to our deeper levels of self. And then as soon as we start organizing our beta, which means we're coming down and relaxing, we are switching on to our senses. We are literally, you can say, when you go from ordinary pattern to awakened mind pattern, you're going from your mind into your body, because our body means the transmitter receiver of senses. So we interact with this world through our senses. So alpha is the key. To get deeper, you have to kind of cross this body portal. So this is alpha. You do get relaxed, you go into your body, and then you get access to your deeper self. You get access to your intuition and wisdom and healing abilities. And then if you like, you also get access to the universal field for whatever you need to do and get from the field. If, say, you don't have enough information, data in your personal individual soul library, you have to go elsewhere and look for it there. Or the best way to say it, if you don't have a file on your computer that you need, you go and find it, Google it in the cosmic internet through Delta. And then evolved mind pattern simply means that you open up all the bottlenecks that you see in awakened mind. So everything is leveling out, and the key there is that theta really becomes more and more equal to alpha, in a way that it can pass messages to alpha, and whatever was unconscious becomes conscious. And that's where healing happens, that's where inner work happens, that's where insights take place. And as I mentioned before, sometimes if you are a professional or if you are serious consciousness explorer, you may end up with something like channeling pattern, or you may end up with out of body pattern. And with time, or simply with your own spiritual evolution, you may end up with gamma and something like super conscious and universal consciousness patterns, which basically are awakened mind and evolved mind patterns with gamma on top, with like super processing powers. So that was it from my side for today's presentation. I hope that wasn't too much for you. And I would also like to invite you to visit our website, institutefortheawakenedmind.com, or go to our video gallery, where you'll find lots of free and by donation recordings about how Mind Mirror works, about brainwave categories and patterns, about meditation, about spirituality, and how Mind Mirror work is related to all kinds of healing modalities, or to hypnosis, NLP, how it can be combined with EFT. So we have lots of interesting stuff there to explore. And believe me, we keep exploring and learning and sharing this knowledge with others. So you're very welcome. Come join our free meetings online, find a practitioner, try test out Mind Mirror yourself, or buy it and become practitioner. I wish you luck in your personal self-exploration journey.